Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, I'm going to be telling you which cards you need to pick up right now from the Lord of the Rings pre-cons, because these prices just dropped and they are finally within my budget requirements. That's right, these cards are now so budget friendly. They are less than $1. There are some really heavy hitters in here. Really excited about these reprints, so let's jump into them. And we're going to start things off with, Wayfarers Bobble. We might get to you here in a bit. Start things off with Basalt Monolith. Basalt Monolith is an incredible card. This card is a combo piece for some decks. It can combo in a couple of different ways. It basically can tap for infinite mana at a certain point, but regardless, even without that, it's just a very efficient, very effective mana rock. It is, if you don't know, an artifact for 3. It doesn't untap your untap step, so there is that downside to it. It can tap for 3 mana, colorless, and has pay 3, untap it. So yeah, Rings of Bright Hearts, some other things as well, can combo with this. Essentially, if you have any way to essentially make this tap for 1 more mana, that one colorless, like, Anthem thing helps. I can't remember what that one's called. Brain's not working right now for that. Regardless, there are, of course, infinite combos with this, but yeah, if you just want to throw this in a deck, I mean, I believe this is in my, very first deck on the channel with Nezahal. This is a very good card. Hey, if you need to ramp quickly, ramp efficiently, get your commander out quickly, yeah, this is a crazy card to do so. Not too many mana rocks out there tap for this much mana, especially for this low of a cost. Yeah, just now at this point, 67 cents thanks to this reprint in the Commander Precons. And yeah, this is previously if you look at the other prices, around a $3 or $4 card, so you're saving a lot from that. So yeah, while this one is still budget friendly, if you're looking for a fantastic mana rock that can really ramp you really quickly, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be able to untap, but of course, you might have other ways to untap it. You might have other effects that can get around this. Again, you might have ways that you can go infinite with this, or you just say, really, I just want to get my commander out again, like with Nezahal. Once you get Nezahal out, it's really hard to deal with, so just getting your commander out is just great. And when you have 3 extra mana, just lying around, utilize that to untap it so you can utilize it again. A great card. I'm very surprised they reprinted this one in the precons. They printed a lot of great things in the precons. So let's move on to yet another mana rock with Worn Power Stone. A fantastic card as well. Again, artifact for 3. This one only taps for 2, only 2. That's still very good. It does enter the battlefield tap, though, so do keep that in mind. Still, that kind of production that is incredibly efficient. Again, typically when it comes to mana rocks, when it comes to ramping, you're going to be paying 2 mana to get 1 out of a mana rock, like an Arcane Signet, etc. When you're paying 4, you're getting 2. So yeah, 3 is somewhere in between, obviously, getting extra efficiency there. It does come to play tap, so you can't utilize it right away. That being said, yeah, this is a giant mana boost. Even if you aren't hitting any other, ramp spells essentially early, turn 1, land, turn 2, land, turn 3, land, this, turn 4, you got access to 6 mana if you hit your land drop. So that's just a big boost for you. And yeah, this is a card that has been getting more and more budget friendly over the past little bit. I mean, it was reprinted in Warhammer. That's really what dropped it. But now finally down to 27 cents. It's a card that a long time ago was very budget friendly. And definitely started creeping up and getting outside of budget, going up to like $2 or even $3 in some places. And now finally, again, nearly a quarter, just 27 cents. So a fantastic reprint. Make sure you get this while it is cheap. Again, for pretty much any deck out there that really wants to ramp quickly, ramp efficiently, ramp effectively, maybe you've got a way to, untap this right away so you can utilize it. A great card for decks that just love ramp. Moving on, we've got Weathered Wayfarer. Now, when it comes to ramp, this ramps in a different way. And mono white, there's not really too many ways to land ramp, but they're starting to get more and more. This is one of the original, earlier ones, essentially, all the way from back in Onslaught from when I started playing. And yeah, Weathered Wayfarer, great card. A 1/1 for a single white mana, human nomad cleric. Pay a white mana, tap, search library for a land card, reveal it in your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if an opponent has more lands than you. Now, this one technically won't ramp you, obviously. Again, it does go in your hand, but it does help ensure that you are hitting your land drops. So I guess it can technically help ramp you in combination with like a Walking Atlas or those kinds of things that get lands from your hand directly into play. That being said, yeah, if you are playing in mono white, chances are an opponent is going to have more lands than you. And actually, I mean, in most circumstances in a game of Queen, unless you're playing, a very heavy ramp deck, you're going to have probably one of your 3 opponents. Chances are pretty likely that you're not going to have the most lands in play. So play this right. Ensure that you are being able to utilize this. It's down to 67 cents right now. Again, a great way to hit land drops. A great, very low to the ground. creature that does have some relevant creature types. Again, human tribal, cleric tribal. I don't know about nomad tribal, but yeah, definitely a good card. Again, 67 cents down from around 2 or 3 or even $4 in some places. Next up, when it comes to another creature type, elves, a very popular one. Elvish Warmaster, a 2/2 elf warrior for 1 and a green. Whenever one or more elves enter the battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Its ability triggers only once each turn. And by paying 5 green, elves you control get +2/+2 and gain death touch until end of turn. This is a great card from Kaldheim. My goodness, can this do a ton of work for you? Yeah, it only triggers only once each turn, but again, it's on every single turn. So if you've got a way to maybe make an elf token on an opponent's turn or flash an elf in, great. You can get a lot of elves. Get a low to the ground elf that can make more and more elves for you. For elf tribal, that is massive. And on top of that, yeah, you're going to have plenty of elves that can make a lot of mana. You've got, your just standard, mana dorks like Elvish Mystic that can just tap for 1. You've also got other ones like Wirewood Channeler, which can tap for a ton. Elvish Heartstrewed, etc., etc., etc. Dump a lot of mana into that. Pump your team. Just even having this on the board in 7 mana available makes so your opponents are going to be like, I don't know how to block, because you swing out with your army and they're like, I don't want to lose my creatures, and you could just very easily get +2/+2 in death touch, but if I don't block, I'm going to take a lot of damage, and maybe you can even activate this multiple times in a turn for like more even than overrun essentially when it comes to damage. Obviously, this works well with giving your creatures trample too, and there's ways to do that as well. Yeah, a great card overall. Just 52 cents right now, again, coming down from around $1, $2, $3, somewhere around that. So yeah, definitely a really good pickup right now, especially again for elf tribal decks. Moving on. Shin Thief, a brutally good card in Commander. This card is just kind of mean. Dragon's Maze. This is originally when this one came out. Huge impact on Commander. It's a 3/1 human rogue that costs 2 blue, black. It's got flash. Your opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps. Instead, that player skips that draw and you draw a card. This card is brutal. This card is crazy. This card is like, hey, let's take all your things. Yeah. Oh, you just cast that giant draw spell. Oh, before that resolves. I'm not going to counter it. Don't worry. No. Flash this in. Oh, cool. I'll draw 7 cards. Whatever you just put into that X draw spell, essentially. Or in a wheel effect. Yeah, that's where this one gets really brutal. This plus any wheel effect, whether that's your opponent's wheel or your wheel. Yeah, all your opponents basically lose their hands and you draw the cards. You're like, oh, hey, no, is that your draw step? No? Okay, cool. Windfall. Awesome. All right, everyone discards their hand. Oh, what's the greatest? 7? Cool. Everyone draws. Oh, wait, no. Shin Thief. Cool. I'll draw all of your cards, so 21 extra cards. Thank you. You draw none, so you've got no hand. Yeah, a brutally good card. Down to just 45 cents now. A very, very good card. If you're into me, or definitely consider this card. And yeah, down from just over $1. Actually, this card that has been gotten up to around $2 or $3 at some points as well. So yeah, 45 cents is an absolute steal for this card that steals cards. Moving on. Speaking of stealing things, Hostage Taker. There's a theme here, apparently. 2/3 Human Pirate for the exact same mana value and mana cost as Shin Thief. Whenever it enters the battlefield, exile another target creature or artifact until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You may cast the card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be sent to cast it. Actually, I think, ironically, this one, originally it was printed with a different, I think it was, yeah, it didn't say another target creature. I think it wasn't printed with that on it, so this is finally a better printing. I think they've gotten some different ones. Regardless, that's off topic. That used to be kind of an infinite thing you could do. This one, though, hey, yeah, let's just go take your opponent's Soul Ring, and we're just going to pay a single mana to actually just play that Soul Ring. Or just take an opponent's best creature and basically play it for yourself, or just a temporary way to get rid of an opponent's thing that they might want to utilize, then to actually spend mana to get it back. And of course, this is on an ETB that does not include a cast requirement. This doesn't say when it enters the battlefield if you cast it. No, this is just, hey, when it enters the battlefield, you get this effect. Cool. So if you blink it, if you've got a way to, feign death it, those kinds of effects, if it dies, you bring it back right away. You can really use it to use this ETB a lot. A really good card. Just 28 cents now. So again, nearly a quarter, kind of like Warden Powerstone. Just 28 cents now for a fantastic card like this one. Card that was definitely over $1, around $2 at some point too. A really good card as well, and a great card to consider. And yeah, we're not done with our thief theme yet, stealing theme. Zealous Conscripts. We're just apparently, we can't escape it. Zealous Conscripts is a 3/3 human warrior with haste that costs 4 and a red. When it enters the battlefield, gain control target permanent until end of turn. There we go. Untap that permanent, gains haste till end of turn. So temporarily gain control of something. This is a card that is currently just 31 cents with this reprint. That is a massive drop, again, around $2 beforehand. And a card that, yes, is great just in the situation that it's in. Hey, yeah, you take your opponent's best permanent, utilize it, maybe send that creature, if you steal a creature, into a bad situation at another opponent so that that creature gets taken out. It can be removal in that way. It can also just be a great way to take something if you've got a sacrifice outlet to sacrifice it after you utilize it because you don't want your opponent to get it back. Yeah, or an infinite combo. This plus Kiki Jiki equals I win, essentially. I mean, as long as your opponents can't stop it, because you just basically get infinite copies of this. So, yeah, there are combos that work well with this. This is also just a very solid, good card, and again, an ETB that you can very easily use and abuse. Again, blink effects if you got them, but you are in red, so, you know, maybe copy creature effects, those kinds as well. This is a really, really good card. One that, again, dropped in price very, very substantially down to just 31 cents. So if you're looking for a great card like this one, if you're looking for maybe one that, you know, utilizes it in a threatened deck, or again, maybe a combo deck with Kiki Jiki, make sure you're considering this one. Next up, we've got Devastation Tide, a card that I definitely heavily utilized when I first started playing Commander, and then it got out of budget. Yeah, this one came out in Abyss and Restored 2016, 2018. This one I've seen a reprint in a couple of years. Again, Commander 2018, couple of years. Again, this card's been around $2 or so recently, now down to just 42 cents. A fantastic card. Sorcery for 5 mana and total 3 blue. Return all non-land permanents to owner's hands. Miracle for just 2 mana, 1 in a blue. So essentially, again, Miracle means that you can cast a card for its Miracle cost if you draw for the first card you drew this turn. Basically, hey, reveal it. Oh, cool. Yeah, do I want to panic button wipe the board for 2 mana? Yep. So if you're in a lot of trouble, yeah, wipe everything. Or if you just have a deck that actually benefits you from bouncing things back to your hand, like my original Joyralist that I don't play anymore because it's a bit brutal with Artifact Storm. Yeah, if you want to bounce things back to your hand so you can recast them and get ETBs or cast triggers or whatnot, great. Do that with this. But yeah, at the end of the day, just having a removal spell, a giant board wipe that sure costs 5, which is still not that much for something that can bounce everything back to the owner's hands to just reset things. Or, again, can just cost a simple just 2 mana, which is absolutely crazy. And again, keep in mind that is the Miracle cost. So yeah, whenever you're drawing that as the first card drawn, not just on your turn, opponent's turns as well, you can take advantage of that. Just 42 cents right now, down from around, again, $1.50, $2 or so. Yeah, finally budget friendly again. Next up, Mystic Confluence. One that has been getting more reprints recently. New Capenna reprinted it. Time Spire Master reprinted it. This one was really, really expensive a long time ago. Finally getting down just 36 cents now. A fantastically flexible spell. Instant for 5 mana and total exact same as Devastation Tide. Actually, 3 blue. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Counter target spell unless the controller pays 3. Return target creature to his hand or draw a card. So basically like a mana drain, whatever that one card is. Basically a way to say, you know what? Hey, do you have 3 mana available? No. Okay, let's counter that spell. Cool. Even if they do have 3 mana available, maybe they don't have 6. So cool, let's get rid of that. If you really need to get rid of a spell, sure, you can use more than one mode on that, but typically you're just using that first mode probably once on that. You also can just bounce some creatures back to those hands that might be problematic, and this is instant speed. Some good combat tricks can be utilized with this. At the very least, yeah, you can just draw some cards with this. Get instant speed. Draw 3 for 5 if you absolutely need to. You can do that. Again, this is very flexible. Again, basically removal, or sorry, I say temporary removal, counterspell, as well as card draw. Yeah, 3 things that are really crucial in a game of Commander. They all come in one package. A lot of value for just 5 mana. Definitely a good value now for just 36 cents. Next up. First up, there's Wayfarers Bobble. Now, it's not first up, but just had to say it that way. This one, I just want to point out, that has been getting a ton of reprints recently. I mean, just even on this list that we're seeing right here, the latest one that they show, and there's just a lot of different variations too, was New Capenna. So we've been seeing a lot of reprints since last year, a ton of reprints. Warhammer really took this price down as well. I think they had this in multiple decks in Warhammer as well. Then we've seen the other Commander decks too coming. Finally, in this one too, I mean, this Lord of the Rings price isn't even the lowest price out of all of them. The lowest one is one of those Warhammer ones. Wayfarers Bobble is now back down to 20 cents. When I started this channel, Wayfarers Bobble, I believe, was a 12-cent card, which I absolutely love that card. I put it in so many decks, and then its price just skyrocketed and eventually got to above $4 at one point. It was more expensive than Sol Ring at one point, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, that just shows how good Wayfarer Bobble is. First up, let's just say it. Artifact for 1, of course. Pay 2 tap, sacrifice, go get a base land and a play tapped. So basically, land ramp for any deck out there. Does not matter if you're in mono white, doesn't matter if you're in mono red, doesn't matter if you're in Jeskai, you've got land ramp now, thanks to Wayfarers Bobble. On top of that, it doesn't matter what your initial hand is. This is even going to a 5-color deck, because if your initial hand is like, oh, cool, swamp, island, oh no, I've got a rampant growth in my hand, but I can't cast it. Yeah, you can eventually, because you can just turn 1 swamp, turn 2 island, crack, your Wayfarers Bobble, and there you go. So, I mean, I say, turn 1, swamp, tap, put the Wayfarers Bobble in play. Turn 2, get your other land in play. Basically, it can help you fix your mana and ramp no matter what your initial land situation is. So again, this can basically be a rampant growth on turn 2 if it's in your opening hand, basically for any deck out there, so it's fantastic. It's actually done so many episodes on why I love Wayfarers Bobble. Regardless, again, thank you, Wizards, for reprinting it a lot. Keep reprinting it. please keep its price low. Again, just 20 cents right now. I never thought I'd see the day after it got to like $4 to where it's now back down to nearly its initial price when I started this channel. So there you go. Moving on. A land that can be fantastic, and finally seeing a reprint. I mean, this hasn't seen a reprint ever since Conspiracy. Conspiracy, the first time this came out, this has never seen an actual reprint. Throne of the High City, a land that can tap bright colors, pay forward, tap, sacrifice it, you become the monarch. This is a huge card for many decks out there. Just 41 cents currently. This, well, first up, I just gotta say, I love the Monarch mechanic. Absolutely love it. It encourages players to actually start attacking and not just always turtle up. So this can actually be a way to say, let's force some combat, let's force some things to happen. And especially if you have the advantage when it comes to that, if you've got evasive creatures, if you've got maybe a great defensive situation, you can get a ton of card draw out of this. Again, the Monarch token will just say like, oh, yeah, or Monarch Emblem, whatever it is. You just get that and you say, yeah, you know what? Oh, end step, cool. I get to draw a card. Awesome. And again, if someone else is, you know, the Monarch, cool, let's take it from them. Or let's just encourage other players to attack that player. There's a lot of interesting things that can happen when the Monarch is introduced. This is just on a simple land that is now very budget friendly. Again, this was like a $2, $3 card. Now finally back down to budget. Actually, I don't know if it's ever really been budget. I've never been able to utilize it, so probably not. But yeah, being able to utilize this again in a mono-colored deck, one like maybe mono-white that doesn't have a lot of access to card draw, and again, typically is, you know, a go-wide strategy with a lot of tokens, can get through on players. That can be huge to give it just additional card advantage that it really needs. And yeah, again, if you've got an aggressive deck, if you've got an evasive deck, definitely make sure you're considering this one if you can slot in a utility land like this. So yeah, if you're probably in, I mean, 3 colors or less is probably what just my usually initially, like, you know, I can probably slot in some utility lands like this that just have bright colors. Obviously, you can make it work in 5 color or whatnot if you need to, but yeah, only consider a certain number when it comes to actually mana fixing. You want to make sure you're still being able to fix your mana and that kind of stuff as well. Moving on. Secluded Courtyard. This one finally is getting down in price, and yeah, this reprint has knocked down the Kamigawa secondary card reprint, or not reprint, secondary card as well, their value. Yeah, this card's like a $4, $5, $6 card in some places. This reprint has knocked it down to 67 cents, with the other version of Kamigawa coming down as well with it. Secluded Courtyard is a land, enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, it taps for colors, tap add 1 may of any color, spend this mana, only cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of the creature card of the chosen type. This is huge. This is like Cavern of Souls, but not nearly as good. Obviously, Cavern of Souls deals with not countering to. That's also like a really, really expensive card. So this is a great budget, you know, card for basically any tribal deck out there. Essentially, any creature tribal deck that has enough creatures in it is probably going to want to consider this card. If you're in a couple of colors, again, if you're in a mono green elves deck, no, you don't want to consider this because you have green already. You can choose a forest, which would be better than this. But still, for a multicolor tribal deck out there, this card can be huge. Again, basically perfect mana fixing. Yes, just for your creature spells, but again, if you've got 30 plus creature spells in your deck, yeah, this can help out with a lot of them. Again, just perfectly fixed for whatever colors that you're in. This can be a huge card. Again, with this reprint, dropping it down quite a bit. I mean, I can see this price going up really quickly again because, yeah, there's a lot of tribal decks out there, and this one sees quite a bit of play. Moving on. Brushland, just really quickly, some really good lands as well that saw some reprints that dropped its price quite a bit. Brushland, a great one, just 89 cents right underneath my threshold again of $1. Taps for a colorless, tap for a green or a white, deals 1 damage to you. In Commander, you start off at 40 life. I mean, that is a ton of life, so there you go. You just take 1 damage. Oh no, I'm at 39. I can do this 39 more times. I mean, technically, obviously, your opponent's going to be trying to take your life total down as well, but of course, there's plenty of ways to gain life, etc., etc., etc. It's a great way to fix your mana. Again, this land comes into play untapped. You don't have to have it deal damage to you. If you just need it for a colorless, great. If you actually need one of those 2 colors, cool. Utilize it. Just take a little bit of damage. A great land for you. Coming down from, you know, $2, $3, $4 essentially down to less than $1 finally. So yeah, make sure you pick this one up soon if you are looking to utilize it in some decks. Then finally, Sulphur Falls. This one, another great land as well in a different way. Only 59 cents right now with this reprint. Again, a $2 or so card. Enters the battlefield, tap unless you control an island or a mountain. Taps for both colors. Essentially, again, if you are playing in, well, just like Is It, there you go. This is an easy way to have a land most of the time come into play untapped, essentially kind of like a duel in that purpose. Obviously, nowhere near as good as a duel because this is conditional. That being said, yeah, just a 60-cent, really good land that can tap for 2 colors and come into play untapped, a huge card for you. So, yeah, I mean, these cards are fantastic. There are a lot of great reprints in the Lord of the Rings precons, and obviously, as you saw, I mean, dropped a lot of price. I did not expect like a Basalt Monolith level card to be reprinted in these. They definitely push the power in some ways in these sets and in these precons as well. So yeah, a lot of really good reprints. Again, of course, there's all Wayfarers Bobble reprinted as well. That one was already under $1, so I kind of cheated by putting that one in there, but I just want to point out just how low its price is getting. Make sure that you consider picking up some of these cards, though. They are fantastic. They have finally dropped down, and yeah, I'll include the link in the description below. Of course, as always, though, have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.